Hey folks, Doug Blake with Body Design University. And in this video, I want to take you into chapter 16. Now, it doesn't matter what chapter, but it was a specific chapter that a student had asked me about from a studying perspective. So I want to take you into uh, this chapter in particular because every chapter of the NASM textbook has a very sort of general way to study, right? And that's the recommendation that we're always giving students, which is to go to the back of the chapter and read the chapter summary. Okay, so there is a generally every chapter has a relatively short chapter summary, then just read the chapter review. And then once you get to the chapter highlights, and in chapter 16, it's page 542 in this case, the chapter highlights section is the one where I recommend that you specifically spend time on before you go into the beginning of the chapter. Remember, the chapter highlights themselves, that's not what's going to help you memorize and pass the exam based on the questions in a particular chapter. The chapter highlights gives you a great opportunity to get a sort of an overview of what's happening in the chapter. In some cases, some of these bullet points are dead on when it comes to some of the questions that you may see from that particular chapter. But that's basically gravy if that is the case. So the reason we recommend that you go through the chapter highlights and spend a little bit of time here is because again, it kind of, if you think about a warm up when you're doing dumbbell curls, you want to spend some time getting the muscle prepped. Well, in this case, it's like getting your brain prepped. The main focus of your study in every chapter that you work through is going through the chapter, going through the tables, the charts, the figures, memorizing certain things. And of course, in our NASM prep course at Body Design University, you obviously are going to get all of that and more. But the point is that we want you to go through this highlights section to kind of warm your brain up and give you an idea of what's really important. And it doesn't take that long. The hardest part about it, I should say, is the method of getting through the highlights. And this is where I do have students ask me all the time in this particular chapter, how should I do it? I can give you the way I work through the highlights, but that's not helpful to you. I mean, it's a little bit helpful, but it's not really as helpful as when you do it yourself, when you think through how to do the method. And so I had a student ask me in chapter 16 in particular, because chapter 16 has a lot of, this is the core training concept chapter, but there's all these, you see over, you got all of these core exercises, and all they have is a ton of pictures and the word technique or safety, something like that. And so their question was basically, well, how do I memorize all this? And my answer was, just like you memorize everything else in the textbook, don't think that there's anything unique about chapter 16 simply because there's more pictures. In fact, that makes life easier for you in one sense. So I wanted to go through chapter 16 and kind of help navigate a couple of these bullet points for you. Remember, the best the best way to study is for you to do this method so your brain is working. If I'm doing it and all you're doing is copying the way I do it, it may be helpful, but it's simply not the same as when you do it to get your brain kind of warmed up. So let me go ahead and go through this with you. I'll do a couple for you. For instance, I'll do the first one. It's easy. And the goal here, whenever you hit bullet points, is to use a technique known as the irreducible minimum technique. So all I'm doing is I'm taking a sentence, multiple sentences, and remember, bullet points are generally one sentence or two max. They really shouldn't be more than that because they are compressed ideas from a larger, probably a paragraph or so of information, and the editor basically crushes it down or makes a list for you. That's what bullet points generally are. And so this thing called the irreducible minimum, used in many different contexts, here is to take a 20-word sentence, which is too many words to memorize, basically, and trying to get rid of as many of those words as you can to get down to a certain number of words that still maintains the general overall meaning of the original the original sentence. And that's called the irreducible minimum. So again, trying to go from 20 words, 30 words, 15 words down to 3 words. Can I get rid of words or crush this down to the point where I got 2 words maybe or 3 words that still give me the flavor of the sentence or the flavor of that bullet point? Again, it's better just to go into it for you. Again, page 542, chapter 16, core training concepts. This is the one the student had asked me. So first bullet point, core training is critical for improving posture, enhancing performance, increasing injury resistance, and accelerating injury rehab. Great. That's a pretty concise sentence, but I can't memorize that. And so what I'm going to try and do is by not only eliminating words, but maybe rewording to a simpler word or concept. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's 16 words in that sentence. This is the way I'm always thinking about it. How can I get a 16-word sentence down to 3 words, 4 something? Remember, going from 16 words to 13 words doesn't help. Now, you can do that as a first run through and start getting rid of some of your adjectives, perhaps, or adverbs. These words that are just enhancing the verb in and out, right? So, core training. Now, I probably don't even need to write core training. I could write core T or even COTR because I would remember that. Remember, it's all about you memorizing it. Me personally, because I know the material, I just write CT. I know it's core training. I'm not going to get that screwed up. Or I can write CTR. Something that allows me to have less words, even less letters, but still I know what the word means. It's easier for my puny brain to remember this. So core training is critical for improving posture. I don't need the word critical, for instance. It's not critical to have the word critical. See what I did there? So core training is critical for. So I can get rid of 3 words right off the bat and still maintain the meaning. Core training, improving posture. See what I did was I got rid of is critical for because when I'm referring back to this sentence that I'm going to crush down, I already know it's important. It's part of the intrinsic material, intrinsic nature of what the material is telling me. Of course, it's important. That's why they have a chapter on it. So, core training, improve posture. So I just got rid of 3 words. Now I'm from 16 to 30. You get the idea. I hope this makes sense. This is how I literally go through whenever I'm studying or looking at material that I'm trying to memorize. I'm trying to get rid of. I'm trying to simplify as much as I can. So core training, improving posture. Now, me personally, I don't need the word improve because I already know that core training is not going to make my posture worse. Improve posture is already, that's an implication to the very point that I'm in the chapter. So I got rid of 4 words. I don't need improve. I already know it's going to improve. Why would I be doing anything in personal training if I'm not trying to improve? So core training, right? I might even do an up arrow, like use a symbol to designate increase or make, right, increase better or something like that. Core training, up arrow, posture. See what I did? Core training, CT, up arrow, posture. I just got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 words down to 2 with an up arrow. I'm well on my way to memorizing this a whole lot easier. Enhancing performance. So increase, so up arrow, posture, performance. I don't need enhanced performance. I just need to know its performance. Increasing, whoop, I'd use an up arrow again. Injury resistance. Yeah, I'll probably use both words. And accelerating injury rehab. I don't need and accelerating injury. I just use rehab. Increase rehab. So essentially what I've done is I've taken a 16-word sentence and crushed it down to like 2, 4, 6 words or something like that. I could probably, after I've studied it a little bit, get it down to even fewer words. Probably don't even need core training in there. CT, I don't even need that in there. Um, all I know is that training, in particular core training, if I saw a question on a test, it would probably tell me core training does the following, or which of the follow core training does all the following except. And I would already know it. See, my brain, your brain automatically fills in certain types of words grammatically. It does, especially if you've read it. You would not have to see improve posture as soon as you see core training equals up posture. As soon as you would see that in some question, your brain automatically fills it in, improves it, makes it better. So that's the first. Now you see how when you do it, and you see how I'm thinking it through, you're just here watching me. This is me doing it, literally doing it on the fly. You need to do that so that when you're studying it yourself, you need to do that so that your brain is working through the materials themselves. That's why I'm saying, even though I just explained it to you that way, giving you all of my crushed down versions of it will only help you a little bit. The greatest benefit you get from it is working through it. That's really studying. Remember, reading something is not studying. That begins the process. You got to at least read it. But to truly study, you've got to engage the materials in some way, shape, or form that gets your brain going, oh, okay, there it is. So I'll give you another one. This is the longest. There's a couple of long ones on page 543. This bullet point is 1, 2, 3, the fourth one down from the top. There are many variables. Now, this is a one, two sentence. This is a 2-sentence bullet point. That's a lot of info. There are many variables that can be manipulated when designing a core training program. There are many variables that can be manipulated when designing a core training program. Probably don't need any of that. I could probably just say with just that part of the sentence, variables. Well, I might do a 2-step process. The first one would be get rid of there are many and just go variables for manipulation and then have an equal sign. Variables for manipulation. I could keep design a core training program, but I don't need to. Not in this case. So I put an equal sign, and then I might write them out the first round through planes of motion, ranges of motion, speed of motion, volume, exercise modalities. Obviously, I've got the word motion in there 3 times. I don't need that. I can just say planes, ranges, speed of motion. Get the idea? I'm trying to eliminate, it's too complicated. If I'm saying motion 3 times, I don't need the word motion anymore. I just put the 3 components, planes, ranges, speed. And then I'd probably put a slash, motion, volume, and exercise modalities. Now, if I want to keep the word volume, I'm also looking to abbreviate words whenever I can. Hope that makes sense. Again, I'm going through this, and you guys are just watching me. Anybody watching this video, you're literally just watching me work through it. So you're an innocent bystander at this point. Does it help? It'll help you, hopefully, for the methodology. So try to abbreviate whenever you can and try to use symbols whenever you can. That helps you. It actually helps your brain, at least does mine. Be cautious not to change too many variables at one time when progressing an exercise program to ensure that the client is able to demonstrate appropriate mastery at each stage. Be cautious. No, I don't need all that. I might write the word change with an X through it. Now, I know that when I put an X through something, it means don't do that. Do not, right? I put an X through it. So I'll circle it, change with an X through it, variables. I could put 1X at one time. When progressing an exercise, I don't need that because that's an assumption with that concept. Don't change many variables. Okay, when progressing to ensure, I don't know if I even need to put any of that in there. What's the idea? What's the whole concept of this one bullet point? Variables that you can manipulate. What are they? planes, ranges, speed of motion, volume, exercise, type of exercises. Don't change too many things. That's about it. So if I wrote that down, that's like a first step. And then what I can do is progress from there and maybe crush it down even further. Hope that makes sense. In the process, using symbols that make sense to you. Not everybody sees an up arrow the way I see it. An equals. I always like to use equal signs and slashes. I always like to use slashes as well. But I like to use symbols whenever I can, and I like to abbreviate whenever I can, as long as you can remember it. So those are two for you. I figured I'd just do those to give you an idea, and hopefully the student that asked me this question from chapter 16 will understand that. Remember, this is only the first part. Now what I got to do is like I do with every other chapter. Now I go to the beginning of the chapter and I start looking for, that was pretty good. So now I start looking for what? I start looking for pictures. I look for tables, try to understand the tables, memorize the tables that are appropriate to memorize, look at the words on the side panels, because those are generally important words to memorize. And then I'm looking inside the chapter for any more bullet points. So I got pictures, I've got charts, tables, bullet points, stretch your knowledge box, sure. But you'll notice as I'm going through this, in this chapter 16, I only have tables and some charts and some pictures. For the most part, that's what I'm going to now study. Now, in chapter 16 in particular, just so you guys know, I'll just do this before I end the video. There's a lot of progressions and regressions. Hint, hint, chapter 16, progressions and regressions, really important to know on the test. So just keep that in mind. Like I got to page 528, make sure 528. And look at all these. I've got these progressions for the different core training exercises. Again, focus of this video was on these chapter highlights. That's not the end all. That's just the first part of the study process. And I hope it was helpful that I went over this with you. If you have any questions on this, let us know. If you understood the video, understand basically the idea, and it was helpful, write the word understand in the comment section below. Let us know how we can be of assistance. Remember, if you have not done so, please subscribe to the channel, give it a like, and there's that notification bell there as well that you can use to see when all the new videos are coming out. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Bye.